Hello Golden State Warriors fans, we are here once again to bring you the latest news related to our team, and I would like to emphasize how committed we are to improving our performance to achieve great results. Before we dive into this intriguing news, I kindly request you to show your support by clicking the like button, and if you are not yet subscribed to our channel, I invite you all to join us on an exciting journey. Remember to turn on notifications so you don't miss anything.
Stephen Curry and Jimmy Butler give the Warriors a key edge the Rockets just can't match. When the stakes are highest, experience matters. As the Golden State Warriors and Houston Rockets tip off their highly anticipated first-round playoff showdown tonight, one storyline stands out above the rest: who can deliver in the clutch? Sure, the young and fearless Rockets have been turning heads all season, but can they truly go the distance in a 7-game series against the battle-tested Warriors? In their most recent matchup, Houston's relentless defense stifled Golden State, holding them to just 96 points and limiting Steph Curry to a shocking 3-point performance. But as much as this series will test the Warriors' age and endurance, it will also challenge the Rockets in ways they haven't been tested before, especially when the game is on the line. And that's exactly where the Warriors hold a crucial advantage. Curry and Butler know how to finish. The Rockets are still learning. Throughout the regular season, Golden State found themselves in a constant stream of nail-biters. In fact, they played the second most clutch games in the NBA, going 25-20 in contests decided in the final moments. Before Jimmy Butler joined the squad, the Warriors often leaned entirely on Steph's late-game magic to carry them across the finish line. But since Butler's arrival, they've gone 9-3 in clutch situations, a clear sign of the impact he's had on this team. Meanwhile, the Rockets haven't fared too badly in the clutch either, posting a 26-18 record. But here's the difference: when the pressure rises, their shooting falters. They rank dead last in the NBA in field goal percentage during crunch time, and just 27th from beyond the arc. The Warriors aren't lighting it up either, ranking 28th and 19th in those same categories. But the difference is this: they have Stephen Curry and Jimmy Butler, two stars who have been here before, who know how to perform when everything's on the line. Curry is averaging 3.6 points in clutch minutes, shooting 37.3% from deep and a lights-out 94.9% from the free throw line. Butler adds another layer of composure and grit, averaging 1.8 clutch points with a 94.1% free throw clip. When the game slows down, and every possession matters, these two are cold-blooded. The Rockets? They'll likely match the Warriors' defensive energy in a tight fourth quarter, but when it comes to creating buckets under pressure, they'll be relying on Draymond Green and Alperen Sengun, two incredibly talented, but still very young, players who have yet to face this kind of spotlight. That's where Golden State's real edge lies. In the end, experience wins. If the Warriors can put enough pressure on Green and Sengun in the closing minutes, their poise and playoff experience could very well tip the scales. This isn't just about talent, it's about who can rise when the lights are the brightest. And in that department, Curry and Butler give Golden State a decisive edge that Houston simply doesn't have, yet. A showdown bigger than just one series. This matchup isn't just about advancing to the next round, it's a litmus test for both franchises. For the Warriors, it's about proving that their championship window isn't closed just yet. With Curry still performing at an elite level and Butler adding a new layer of toughness and leadership, this team knows they can still make a deep playoff run, if their bodies can hold up. Draymond Green's defensive IQ and Klay Thompson's spot-up shooting remain vital pieces, but it's the new dynamic between Curry and Butler that has everyone talking. Around the league, there's already buzz about this duo. Analysts have pointed out that Butler's arrival seems to have given Golden State the two-way balance they've lacked since their dynastic peak. On ESPN's NBA Countdown, Jalen Rose called them the most dangerous dark horse in the West, while Kendrick Perkins noted that with Jimmy, this team doesn't flinch in close games anymore. Meanwhile, the Rockets are looking to prove that their rebuild is ahead of schedule. This season has been a revelation for Alperen Sengun, whose versatility and post skill have drawn comparisons to early career Nikola Jokic. Draymond Green's explosiveness and shot creation give Houston a real offensive punch, but both players are navigating their first real playoff test. Head coach Ime Udoka has done a phenomenal job instilling defensive intensity and culture into this young core. But even he admits the pressure will be unlike anything they've experienced. You can't simulate playoff basketball in practice, he told reporters earlier this week. You have to live it, and learn from it, the hard way. Small margins, big moments. In a series expected to go down to the wire, the little things will matter: rotations, matchups, timeouts, and even free throws. And when it comes to managing those moments, Steve Kerr's playoff pedigree gives Golden State another quiet advantage. With 4 rings under his belt, he knows when to ride the hot hand, when to slow the game down, and how to get the best out of veterans in pressure cookers. There's also the bench factor. While Houston's depth has been a strength all season, thanks to contributors like Tari Eason, Dylan Brooks, and Fred VanVleet, the Warriors are no strangers to role players rising when it matters most. Look no further than Jonathan Kuminga, who's been blossoming into a two-way force, and Moses Moody, whose energy off the bench has sparked multiple comebacks. If the series stretches into 6 or 7 games, the experience and mental fortitude of the Warriors could be the ultimate X-factor. The bigger picture. Whatever the outcome, this series is a glimpse into the NBA's evolving power structure. The Rockets are young, hungry, and knocking on the door. The Warriors are seasoned, smart, and still dangerous when it counts. For Golden State, a first-round exit would trigger serious questions about their future core. For Houston, even a competitive loss could cement their place as a rising power in the West, and attract future talent who see the vision. But make no mistake, this series will be won in the margins, in the final 5 minutes, with the game tied and nerves frayed. And that's where Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler turn pressure into poetry. The Rockets might have the future, but the Warriors still own the moment. The biggest loser in the Jimmy Butler trade has become painfully clear, and it could end up costing him millions. The mid-season trade that brought Jimmy Butler to Golden State has been nothing short of transformative. It reignited the Warriors' playoff hopes, lifting them from 11th in the Western Conference just over 2 months ago to a solid postseason berth. But the trade didn't just breathe new life into Butler, who's now chasing yet another improbable playoff run. It also paid off for nearly everyone else involved. Andrew Wiggins and Kyle Anderson have helped lead the Miami Heat through the play-in and into the playoffs. Dennis Schroeder and Lindy Waters III, now with the 6th-seeded Detroit Pistons, are also dancing in the postseason. Even in Golden State, Butler's arrival has had a ripple effect. Veterans and young guns alike have benefited, including Brandon Podziemski, Moses Moody, Quinton Post, and of course Steph Curry, who finally has a reliable co-star to share the load in crunch time. But not everyone came out a winner. Jonathan Kuminga, the odd man out. While most players have seen their roles either solidify or grow post-trade, Jonathan Kuminga has found himself on the wrong side of the rotation, and the timing couldn't be worse. Steve Kerr didn't sugarcoat it. In a recent interview with Willard and Dibbs on 95.7 The Game, the Warriors head coach admitted that playing Butler and Kuminga together simply hasn't worked. To be perfectly honest, the Jimmy JK combination hasn't been great, Kerr said. And that's the tricky part. I'm playing Jimmy 40 minutes a night because, well, he's one of the best players in the league. Before Butler's arrival, Kuminga was enjoying arguably the best stretch of his young career. He was showing flashes of the star the Warriors hoped for when they selected him 7th overall in the 2021 draft. But since Butler came on board, Kuminga has been pushed to the margins, even falling completely out of the rotation in Golden State's last 2 games. A lingering injury that kept him out for 31 games certainly didn't help. But with the team's chemistry reshaped and the rotation tightening as the playoffs intensify, Kuminga's path back to meaningful minutes suddenly looks narrow. Numbers that don't help his case. The on-court pairing of Butler and Kuminga hasn't exactly inspired confidence. In 125 minutes together, the Warriors have posted a net rating of -6.8, not catastrophic, but enough to validate Kerr's tough decision from a tactical standpoint. The optics, however, are far more damaging. This was supposed to be Kuminga's contract year. He was in line, or at least in the conversation, for a potential extension in the $120 million range as a restricted free agent this offseason. But now, that number could shrink dramatically, depending on how rival teams interpret Kerr's decision to sideline him. NBA front offices often talk about context and upside, but when a coach like Kerr benches a young talent in favor of veterans, it raises questions that scouts and GMs can't ignore, especially when millions are on the table. Is there still hope? Of course, narratives in the NBA can flip overnight, especially in the playoffs. One injury, one hot streak, or one breakout moment can turn a forgotten name into a hero. And Kuminga, with his athleticism and defensive versatility, still holds value. But make no mistake, he's fighting an uphill battle. He's not just trying to earn minutes, he's trying to salvage a reputation, a role, and potentially, a massive payday. Right now, The Jimmy Butler trade looks like a massive win for the Warriors. But for Jonathan Kuminga, it might be the moment that changed everything, and not in the way he hoped. A career at a crossroads. For Jonathan Kuminga, this moment feels like more than just a temporary coaching decision. It feels like a fork in the road. A few months ago, he was being talked about as a future cornerstone for the Warriors. Now his minutes are gone, his rhythm is disrupted, and his financial future is suddenly filled with question marks. Front offices around the league are watching. Teams with cap space and a focus on youth development, like the Orlando Magic, San Antonio Spurs, or even the Utah Jazz, may still see untapped potential in Kuminga. But the perception has shifted. He's no longer the can't-miss prospect. Now, he's the talented player who couldn't hold his spot on a veteran-laden playoff team. And in a league that often pays based on narrative as much as numbers, that shift could prove costly. Internal tension or strategic sacrifice. There's also the human element to consider. Multiple Warriors insiders have hinted that the mood around Kuminga has changed. He's reportedly remained professional and focused in practice, but sources say the frustration is starting to show. It's hard to blame him. He did everything right before the trade, showed growth, played within the system, improved his decision-making. And then, seemingly overnight, he became the odd man out. Steve Kerr and the front office now walk a fine line. They can't afford to alienate a player with Kuminga's upside, especially given their aging core and looming luxury tax concerns. But they also can't deny the results Butler has brought. Winning is the priority, and right now, Butler gives them the best chance to do that. Still, if the Warriors flame out early in the playoffs, or if they struggle with depth, Kerr's decision to sideline a dynamic two-way athlete like Kuminga may come under serious scrutiny. What happens next? As Golden State advances through the postseason, all eyes will be on their rotation, and on whether Kuminga gets another chance. The Warriors are walking a tightrope, pushing for another title run while trying to maintain long-term sustainability. It's a difficult balancing act, and Kuminga's situation is a perfect example of the challenge. They can't keep everyone happy. But if they mishandle this, they could lose more than just a young player. They could lose the future of their franchise. And for Kuminga, these next few weeks could define his trajectory in the league. Does he fade into the background of a playoff run he was supposed to help lead? Or does he force his way back into relevance, on this team or another? Around the league, eyes are watching. The trade's ripple effect is being felt across the NBA. GMs and agents are recalibrating their plans. Kuminga's reduced role could impact the restricted free agent market, altering what teams are willing to offer other young wings. Meanwhile, rival teams might be quietly preparing offers, sensing a rare opportunity to buy low on a high-upside talent. Reporters are already speculating. On the Ringer NBA show, Kevin O'Connor noted, if Golden State doesn't trust Kuminga in the playoffs now, when will they? He's not going to wait forever. Even Warriors legend Andre Iguodala, now in a front office advisory role, reportedly pushed for Kuminga to stay involved in the rotation during internal discussions. There's a storm brewing, and it goes far beyond just one trade or one series. This NBA rule could force the Warriors to lose Jonathan Kuminga for nothing. It's the kind of scenario that fans don't think about, until it's too late. But behind the scenes, a perfect storm is brewing in Golden State, one that could end with the Warriors losing Jonathan Kuminga this summer, for absolutely nothing in return. That's not a typo. It's not clickbait. It's just how the NBA's rules work, and how quickly things can shift when talent, timing, and team fit don't align. Kuminga's uncertain role raises red flags. As the Warriors fight for postseason life, Kuminga is barely clinging to his place in Steve Kerr's rotation. His minutes have dropped, his rhythm has faded, and his future with the team, once considered part of the franchise's long-term core, suddenly looks fragile. Head coach Steve Kerr attributes the shift in part to the addition of Jimmy Butler and Kuminga's struggle to adapt next to him. That chemistry hasn't materialized, and it's made Kuminga expendable at the worst possible time. And now the Warriors face a real risk. The 22-year-old forward could walk away this summer in restricted free agency, and Golden State might not be able to stop it, or even profit from it. Restricted free agency. But with a catch. On paper, the Warriors hold the upper hand. Kuminga is entering restricted free agency, which gives Golden State the right to match any offer he receives. Simple enough, right? Well, not exactly. There aren't many teams with the cap space to make a serious play for Kuminga. According to projections, Only the Brooklyn Nets are currently expected to have more than $25 million in cap room this summer. And that makes them the only team realistically positioned to offer the $30+ million annually that Kuminga's camp has floated in the past. If the Nets step up with that kind of offer, the Warriors will face a tough decision. But what if they don't? That's where things get complicated, and potentially costly for Golden State. The base year compensation rule could kill any trade. Because Kuminga is coming off a rookie deal and is eligible for a raise exceeding 20% of his current $7.6 million salary, he falls under the NBA's base year compensation, BYC rule. And this rule can completely torpedo any potential sign-and-trade deal. Here's how it works. In any trade involving Kuminga, the Warriors will have to account for his outgoing salary as either his 2025-26 salary or 50% of the first year of his new contract, whichever is greater. But the team acquiring him must count 100% of that new deal on their books. Let's say Kuminga signs for $30 million annually. His new team would need to send back $30 million in salary to make a trade work. But for the Warriors, he'd only count as $15 million going out. That mismatch makes sign-and-trade deals incredibly hard to execute, especially for a team like Golden State, already navigating tight financial margins and lacking the cap space to absorb much in return. Bottom line, if Kuminga walks in free agency, the Warriors may not be able to stop him. And if they try to trade him, the math could block every realistic option. So, who could actually make a deal work? According to Spotrac, the Warriors are projected to start the offseason roughly $25 million below the first tax apron, so there's some room, but not much. A team like Brooklyn could just sign Kuminga outright and keep their assets. Detroit, if it gets creative, could open over $20 million in cap space by renouncing free agents like Tim Hardaway Jr. and Malik Beasley. But again, why would they gut their roster to make room when they could use the non-taxpayer mid-level exception, $14.1 million projected, to chase a quality player without giving up anyone? This is the trap Golden State is in. There are only a handful of teams with the flexibility and motivation to make a deal for Kuminga worthwhile, and even fewer willing to send anything of value back to the Bay. Preserving an asset, or letting one slip. The Warriors' front office faces a delicate balance. They want to preserve the asset, matching any offer that comes Kuminga's way. But that assumes he maintains trade value. If they match a $30 million deal and Kuminga underperforms, they're stuck with a potential negative asset and a bloated payroll. And that's a scenario ownership might not be willing to stomach. On the flip side, if interest around the league cools and Kuminga's next deal falls in the $15 to $20 million range, suddenly Golden State regains some leverage. At that price, they could keep him or move him more easily in the future. But if a team like Brooklyn does throw big money his way, the Warriors may be powerless to respond. Without a viable sign-and-trade option, they could watch the former no. 7 overall pick walk for nothing. The stakes are quietly massive. Jonathan Kuminga isn't just a young player with upside, he's one of the last remaining threads connecting the Warriors' old dynasty to whatever comes next. Losing him for nothing would be a brutal blow to a franchise already walking a tightrope between contention and a full-blown reset. For now, all Golden State can do is wait. Wait for offers. Wait for clarity. Wait to see if Kuminga forces their hand, or if the market softens enough to give them a way out. Either way, it's a reminder of how quickly potential can slip through your fingers in today's NBA, and how a single rule, tucked away in the CBA fine print, might decide a franchise's future.